Coming up on today's Airborne, the public does not sway Readington, New Jersey Township. The UK CAA slashes red tape for general aviation. And the ISS is now home to 9. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. When Abraham Lincoln said, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people, should not perish from the earth," I guess he was not familiar with the township of Readington, New Jersey. As we reported last week, the Readington Township Committee has been pushing to use condemnation and eminent domain laws to take over the privately owned Solberg Airport, despite overwhelming opposition. On Wednesday of last week, about 500 residents and airport supporters attended a meeting of the Readington Township Committee, held for the purpose of allowing public comment and committee deliberation on an ordinance concerning the embattled Solberg Airport. According to an ANN reader who attended the meeting, during the 3.5 hours of generally civil public comment, a clear majority of attendees who addressed the committee were residents of the municipality with standing as taxpayers. Every one of the 50 speakers who spoke in the public comment period were opposed to the committee's continued efforts to condemn the airport. Most expressed the sentiment that public officials should leave the airport alone. The ordinance to proceed with condemnation was moved and given second. It passed by a 4-1 vote. Perhaps the Township Committee missed the memo from President Lincoln. The UK government and Civil Aviation Authority, called the CAA, have announced plans to strip away unnecessary bureaucracy for the UK general aviation sector. Some of the proposed changes were suggested during the General Aviation Red Tape Challenge, also known as the RTC. The general aviation sector includes flights other than commercial scheduled air services. Most of the world's air traffic falls into this category, from gliders to corporate flights. Minister of Portfolio Grant Shapps said, quote, "We have identified a number of areas where existing regulations are unduly onerous, or where the CAA could improve its approach. The measures we are announcing will ensure that the regulatory framework is proportionate, deregulating completely wherever possible, and minimizing regulation where it is still necessary," end quote. CAA also committed to delivering a program of culture change, deregulation, and self-regulation, moving towards a model of supporting compliance rather than policing regulations, enhanced transparency, better value for money, and allowing the GA sector itself to take on more responsibilities for ensuring safety. A new trio of Expedition Number 38 flight engineers opened the Soyuz and space station hatches last Thursday and were greeted by 6 station crew members already on board the ISS. They docked to the Rassvet docking compartment aboard a Soyuz spacecraft with the Olympic torch on board. It should be noted that the torch is just ceremonial and has no flame. This will be the first time since October of 2009 that 9 people have resided on the station without the presence of a space shuttle. However, just 4 days later, the station residents said goodbye to all 3 Expedition 37 crew members when they undocked in their Soyuz spacecraft and landed in Kazakhstan yesterday. The ceremonial Olympic torch returned to Earth with the Expedition 37 crew. Each year, the Wolf Aviation Fund provides grants for a number of individuals and organizations doing great work in general aviation. To date, more than 350 awards have been given. This year's deadlines for application is December 15th. Applications must meet certain criteria and fit into the fund's 7 major program areas. Projects receiving awards reflect the remarkable goals and accomplishments of the grant recipients and are often volunteers leading teams of other volunteers in their communities. Proposals often received partial support because by providing partial funding as challenge grants, the recipients often use the honor and recognition of a Wolf Aviation Fund grant to approach others and seek additional funding. All aviation supporters are encouraged to look for those who have won Wolf Aviation Fund awards and display the logo. American Legend Aircraft Company is offering its Legend Cub at a special price through the end of 2013. The price represents a savings of $6,000 off the normal price. The Legend Cub is legendary by design. It has a long-proven airframe and wing profile that continue to inspire pilots today. The Legend Cub is an evolution of the classic design with respect to its power plant, avionics, and modern materials, yet remains true in spirit to the fun of flying. The J3 style configuration includes a 100 horsepower Continental engine, Garmin radio, transponder, and GPS. A true track ADI, dimmable instrument lighting, and wing-mounted aero LEDs make the aircraft day and night VFR capable. Panel options range from the touchscreen GPS Map 796 to glass panel Dynon Skyview or Garmin G3X. Cub Yellow is standard, or customers can choose an optional paint scheme. Airbag seatbelts, ADS-B, autopilot, interior styling, bush wheel tires, and ski or float options are also available. The FAA has taken a significant step towards the integration of unmanned aircraft into the National Airspace System. Tom Patton reports.
The FAA has released its first annual roadmap outlining efforts needed to safely integrate unmanned aircraft systems into the nation's airspace. The roadmap addresses current and future policies, regulations, technologies, and procedures that will be required as demand moves the country from limited use of the aircraft to their extensive integration into the next-gen aviation system. The roadmap outlines the FAA's approach to ensuring that widespread UAS use is safe from the perspective of accommodation, integration, and evolution. The FAA's main goal for integration is to establish requirements that operators will have to meet in order to increase access to the airspace over the next 5 to 10 years. At the same time, the government's Joint Planning and Development Office has developed a comprehensive plan to safely accelerate the integration of civil UAS into the national airspace system. That plan details a multi-agency approach to safe and timely UAS integration and coordination with the next-gen shift to satellite-based technologies and new procedures. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
The story may be bizarre and is certainly sad, but unfortunately it's not the first time this has occurred. A 60-year-old man fell from a helicopter last Tuesday in an incident that is being investigated as a possible suicide. The man is identified as Gregory McFadden. McFadden was the only passenger aboard a Robinson R-44 helicopter owned by a private helicopter company. According to an FAA spokesman, McFadden apparently opened the door of the helicopter while flying over the ocean and jumped from the aircraft. He fell about 500 feet before impacting the water. McFadden's brother told the paper that Gregory suffered from chronic acid reflux disease. He'd been on disability and had applied to get an operation to repair a valve between his stomach and esophagus, but was denied the surgery. We at ANN offer our condolences to all involved in this unfortunate event. You're watching Airborne. More in a moment.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top two causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Rebuilding the sport aviation world one aviator at a time. That's ANN's new Aero Sports ebook series, your resource guide to the ultimate in aviation adventures. Aero Sport will feature the straight skinny on learning and enjoying 16 unique aviation sports, from ultralights and ballooning to aerobatics, gyroplanes and hang gliders to parachuting, home builds and general aviation to RC models. All this and more will be coming soon with the new updatable Aero Sport guide for your favorite electronic devices. Get your advance order in now at www.aero-sport.net.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. The second Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner completed a successful 4-hour, 18-minute first flight last Thursday. The airplane, known as ZB-002, departed Payne Field in Everett, Washington, and landed at Seattle's Boeing Field. As the only 787-9 test airplane to be fitted with elements of the passenger interior, this plane will test systems such as the environmental control system, in addition to avionics and other aspects of airplane performance. With manufacturing of the 787-9 flight test fleet complete, the first production 787-9 in final assembly, and 137 flight test hours to date, 787-9 development is on track. First delivery of the 787-9 to launch customer Air New Zealand is set for mid-2014. Dave Thatcher of Pensacola, Florida, has a new project just about ready to get off the ground. The 81-year-old aircraft mechanic and designer has stretched his CX-4 single-place design and is getting ready to begin offering kits for a two-place CX-5. Thatcher has sold 547 sets of plans for the CX-4 since 2004, and 50 would-be builders have said they will pay $475 for the plans to the CX-5, which is expected to cost about $25,000 to build. Thatcher is being assisted by 65-year-old retired college professor Glenn Bradley, a 6,000-hour pilot who will conduct the test flights on the CX-5. The CX-5 is expected to have a cruising speed of 125 miles per hour and a 300-mile range on a single tank of fuel. It's powered by a modified VW engine that will burn standard auto fuel. Thatcher and Bradley said that after about 40 hours of flight testing, people near Pensacola can expect to see a lot of the CX-5s overhead. And now it's time for Aero Video of the Week. Today's AVW can only be described as beautiful, stunning, and surreal. Enjoy this 2-minute, 43-second video of the wonders of balloon flying, the 2013 Albuquerque Balloon Festival. Search time-lapse Albuquerque in YouTube. Turn down the lights and turn up the volume. Finally, today on Airborne, a break in the weather in the UK on October 30th allowed the team at Ego, which is developing a single-place microlight airplane, to conduct its first flight. Test pilot Keith Dennison flew the canard-configured airplane for about 30 minutes to an altitude of 4,000 feet at a speed of 80 knots. The Ego is powered by a 30-horsepower Roton-Winkel engine. At a projected 100-knot cruise, it's expected to burn about 1.7 gallons per hour and have a range of 300 nautical miles. The fully integrated glass cockpit gives you flight instruments, engine monitoring, checklist, and navigation. The airplane will fall under the light sport category in the U.S., and Ego says the company plans to offer an experimental version in the States, followed by LSA kits and completed airplanes. And with names available like Alter Ego or Super Ego, the company says it will be difficult to resist building a 2-seat model of the airplane. Well, that's our program. Remember, you can always get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Join us again this Friday for a new edition of Airborne. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.